Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again for another top 3 of the month, and this month I'm going to be talking about the fragrances that I tried in February that I thought were the best ones out of all the fragrances that I tried, so stay tuned for that. If you like top 10 lists, fragrance reviews, clone comparisons, and fragrance battles, hit that subscribe button for more great content. So, February was actually, I think, a pretty good month. I did try some good fragrances. I tried some fragrances that I didn't like so much, but I did get through a decent amount of the samples that I have. Still have a ton to work on. Always more, always more. But you know what? That's a good thing. I think trying out all these samples keeps me satisfied because I do have a certain degree to which I like novelty. And so I do like trying new fragrances. And if I bought every fragrance I wanted to try, I would have hundreds of bottles that I don't use. So I guess in order to keep it a little bit less expensive and to maintain a little balance in my collection, I buy a lot of samples. So it works for me. And I'm going to talk about the top 3 fragrances from last month, February, that were definitely the best for me. So the bottom of the list was actually a bit of a surprise, although it has been talked about a lot. It has been hyped up by certain people a little bit more in the past. It hasn't been talked about as much recently, but that is Rock Rose by Clive Christian. And this is a bit of a surprise to me because I have tried other Clive Christian fragrances and I never found any of them particularly good. I think even E, that a lot of people have said is a nice gourmand, I found it to be very, very cloying, a little too, syrupy, dense, and just... I know what Clive Christian tends to ask for his fragrances. They're very expensive, and, that one just didn't do it for me. Rock Rose, on the other hand, is really, really nice fragrance. This is a very versatile niche fragrance. Of course, the price point is high, so it would definitely be something that I would have a hard time justifying buying, considering there are other less expensive, versatile fragrances out there. But this is nonetheless a very good one. It's a little bit sweet. There's something in there that reminds me a little bit of like that bubblegum sweet DNA that a lot of designer fragrances actually have. So I felt like this one was a little bit, I guess, designer-ish, which again is not a bad thing. It's just, again, the price point, it's kind of always hard to justify. But it also has this very nice, breezy freshness. And it's funny that I didn't really get it on the first impression, but looking at the notes, that is definitely the violet. So there's other fragrances that if you've had like Windwood, or if you smelled Windwood or He-Man Rocky Mountain by D Squared, they both have a very strong violet note that is quite breezy. It's very nice. It does actually come off like a, fresh, crisp breeze. And this fragrance also has it. I do like that the note of violet, especially when it's used in that way. So I guess there are some floral fragrances that I like, some floral notes that I like. One of them is definitely violet. It's fairly linear. I didn't find this to be a complex fragrance. Nothing crazy, but it is, again, one of these very versatile fragrances. And I do know, actually, so if you do watch the channel, you know that I'm a bit of a fanboy of genre when it comes to the clone houses. They did do a clone of Rock Rose, and I would be very interested to try it out, especially if it's close, and a lot of people are saying that it's good, that I've heard. If it is close, it's obviously a sensible alternative because, again, Clive Christian prices I find hard to justify. I think they're like $500 or something for Rock Rose. Pretty crazy for a 50ml. And it is one of these brands that is a little bit harder to find on discounters. So I would be interested in trying that. I think in the future I will definitely, maybe the next time that ordering is available from genre, I will pick up a sample of that one so I can do a clone comparison of that. But the third place, Rock Rose, very nice, easy to wear, versatile, niche fragrance. And the next one, I was really happy that this came out. So I've tried, or it turned out this way for me. I have tried quite a few fragrances from Parfums de Nicolai, and none of them really did anything for me. And it's for whatever reason, it's a brand that I've wanted to like. And so I've tried definitely a few of the fragrances, gave them some opportunities to have something that I enjoy anyways. And I did find that with Patchouli Intense. So that is the next fragrance on the list, number 2, Patchouli Intense. Now, to me, this one comes off like a very authentic patchouli. Now, I will say I've smelled patchouli oil, so I don't know if it's going to be the top grade, whatever I've smelled, but I have smelled just the essential oil of patchouli, and I know that it can be very in your face, and in fact, even for some patchouli heavy fragrances that I enjoy, pure oil is very aggressive and it's very in your face. And I find that what they've done with this fragrance is they basically have almost the exact maximum limit of pure patchouli that you can smell in a fragrance without it becoming overbearing. So they've taken the edge off, essentially, of the patchouli so that it has a very nice, really strong essential oil vibe, in the sense that it does smell like very authentic patchouli. You get the patchouli very clearly. It has a very nice, robust smell to it. But it is just at that very edge where it's maximally pleasing and doesn't have the sharp edges or the in-your-face aspect that I find the essential oil can have. So I did really enjoy that one. And you know, it's funny, I was thinking about patchouli the other day, and I know a lot of people talk about patchouli being sort of skunky or sometimes smells like hippies. And, you know, the only fragrance I've ever smelled with heavy patchouli in it, or with patchouli that I would even smell or say smells remotely like hippies, is Music Festival, which, it's funny, I described it on a Facebook the other day as smelling like a dirty hippie. I'm not a fan of that one. It does definitely smell skunky and weird. But I find even like heavy patchouli fragrances don't really have that vibe. And so I don't know, I think it's, again, one of these notes that gets a bit of a bad rap. So a lot of times people talk about oud as smelling like poop or barnyard. And yet very few oud fragrances that I've smelled actually have that quality. And, you know, as far as I'm aware, anyways, really high quality oud doesn't smell like that at all. So it's one of these things where it has this reputation that it precedes it, right? Like, so patchouli does not really generally, in the most cases, come off smelling this way, and yet people kind of step off or shy off because they think that it will. But Patchouli Intense, if you like or want to try a very nice patchouli dominant fragrance, definitely get a sample of that one. I think the samples are not that expensive if you can find them, or you might be able to get a free sample somewhere. And if you can, awesome. And it's worth a try if you want to try a very patchouli forward fragrance. And the next one, number one spot, and this was the best one, very pleasantly surprised. Now one of my favorite Manceras for sure, and that is Oud Vanille. This one is really, really nice. Now, I did a first impression on this one, and it's one that opens up very woody, very small hint of vanilla. So in the opening, you don't really get a lot of vanilla, but it has a very, very strong woody smell that I do associate with oud. Again, not skanky or skunky or anything like that. It just has this sort of different scent profile along with the woodiness. And it does have a bunch of spices in it now that I've looked at the notes, but the one that I actually get the most personally is saffron. And so it has a bit of sweetness, a good dose of saffron and spice, and a very nice woodiness. So it opens up with this very nice spicy wood with a slight sweetness. As this one dries down, and the performance in this one is ridiculously good. So talking like 12-hour longevity on this one. But it is one that also, as it dries down, it does change. Now, as I think I probably mentioned in the first impression video, vanilla is one of these base notes where certainly you can get it in the opening, but it's one that definitely starts to come out a little bit more in the dry down, and that's exactly what happens with Oud Vanille. So it starts off very woody, spicy, with a little hint, sort of underpinnings of that sweet vanilla, and as it dries down, this really nice, almost like kind of toasted vanilla comes out, and it's really, really nice. It actually is a very, very nice smelling vanilla as well. So, of course, vanilla has different... I don't know the actual vanilla that they used in it, but I would actually venture to say that the vanilla in that fragrance is of pretty decent quality. It did remind me a little bit of the vanilla in Wicked Good, which I know is, it's just Madagascar and vanilla, which is, apparently the best of the best. And the vanilla in Oud Vanille didn't smell the same, but it definitely had some properties, some characteristics that reminded me of that fragrance, which is really nice because Wicked Good is probably my favorite vanilla fragrance. And this one, obviously, fraction of the price, but also has a good bit of quality for that too. Great fall winter fragrance. Probably could wear it a little bit. I mean, if you're going to be in a climate controlled environment, could probably pull it off in the spring summer. Wouldn't wear it outdoors in the heat though, because it's going to be crazy. But it is one that, you know, I think you could definitely dress up a little bit. It has that nice sort of high quality feel to it with the wood and the spice and that nice sort of sensual vanilla as well. Nice fragrance, very well done. So that is my top 3 fragrances for the month of February. So I'm going to cut the video there, guys. Leave a comment down below. Did you try anything in February? Is there anything that really stood out to you, really impressed you? Leave me a comment. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.